Hello, this is Nancy Greene, and once again for Reach Out Roaming. We're here in Wareham, Massachusetts at Cape Cod Shipbuilders with Wendy Goodwin. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Nancy.
You're called Cape Cod Shipbuilders, but you're actually located in Wareham. How far are we actually from Cape Cod?
We're about 10 minutes away from the bridge to get on to Cape Cod, and we were established in 1899, actually before the Cape Cod Canal was created. So when our company started, we actually were part of Cape Cod.
Now, this is a family business, but you weren't the original owners.
That's correct. The Goodwin family has been involved at this shipyard since the 1940s. My grandfather purchased the company. Before that, the shipyard had two previous owners.
Yeah, I noticed that the boatyard is quite large, and right now we're in the showroom. Can you talk about some of the boats that are behind us?
Sure. What's directly behind us is the Cape Cod Knockabout, which actually was a boat designed by Charles S. Greene, who was the original owner of Cape Cod Shipbuilding. And beyond that is the Day Sailor, which is one of the newest boats that we've started building. It used to be the old O'Day Day Sailor. And beyond that is the Harrisoft 12.5, which is quite a famous Rhode Island design. And then beyond that is the Bullseye.
Do you make all the parts of the boat here?
We do. Everything is done here in-house. The boats, the spars, the sails are built at sail lofts. So the sails are the only thing that aren't done here on property.
Now, how did you start in the boat builder? I know you didn't start in the vice president role. How did you sort of work your way up?
Well, I started out at the bottom. I cleaned floors and painted walls and painted bottoms of boats and varnished boats. So I don't think I'd want to ask our employees to do anything that I didn't know how to do.
Now, how do you find working in what is primarily a man's business?
Well, it's a challenge, and when I started, definitely I hit some resistance. Folks aren't used to having women either give them instruction on how to fix a boat or how to purchase a boat. But slowly but surely, as I've gotten older, I've figured ways around that, or made people understand that I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. The important thing is that I know our boats, and as long as I know how our boats are going to respond, then I can very easily instruct an owner how it's going to perform.
We actually went to a boat show where you actually showed off one of the boats that you had. Can you speak to the boat that we were looking at? I understand it was designed by someone in Rhode Island or from Rhode Island?
Yes, the boat that we brought to the boat show is our bread and butter boat, the Harrisoft 12.5. It's what we do the most of, and it's by one of the most famous yacht designers, Nat Harrisoft, who was from Bristol, Rhode Island.
Now, I understand your sister also works here, and your father works here. Can you tell me what their roles are?
Sure. My dad is the president of the company. He's been here for 40 years now, and his role is basically to keep everything running smoothly. My sister also works with us, and she's involved in the parts purchasing and general office running.
Now, I understand that you have some experience working with nonprofits and charities. Can you talk to that?
Sure, certainly. We've donated boats to local hospitals and done work with other small sailboat or boating groups that teach young kids how to sail.
Now, when you donated to the hospital, that was for a fundraising event?
It was, absolutely. And it was a local hospital, so the money went towards keeping people healthy.
Now, I understand that you personally teach sailing. Is that true?
Absolutely. Part of what I do here is get people who don't know how to sail sailing. So a lot of time in the summer is spent teaching folks how to sail, even a few folks who have had bad experiences to try and get them back into sailing, that sort of thing. So most definitely.
So being the boat builder who's built these boats, do you know how to sail each of these?
Absolutely. It's hard to sell something if you haven't used it and or know how it works. So most definitely all the boats that we sell here I've sailed.
And I also know that you are an advocate for boat safety. Would you like to speak to that?
Most definitely, especially in some of our smaller boats and the boats that are sailed by youngsters and beginner sailors. It's very important to wear your PFD, or your personal flotation device. The Coast Guard requires a certain amount of equipment on every boat, but it's important to wear your life jacket while you're sailing as well. Here in Buzzards Bay, we get a lot of wind and a lot of waves, so you never quite know when something's going to happen. So it's important to wear your life jacket and be prepared.
Have you ever had a bad experience while you were sailing?
I wouldn't say a bad experience, but definitely we've been struck with too much wind and didn't get the reef in soon enough. So, yep, I've swamped boats before and capsized boats. But you can start by having controlled swampings and controlled capsizes so that when it happens accidentally, you're prepared to respond accordingly.
Now, are there classes that someone can take locally, or any that you know of that can help prepare them for this sort of incident?
Most definitely. I think every sailing lesson will include those kinds of safety things. What's really important about some of the boats that we build, the Mercury in particular, which is a boat that is in use at community boating in Boston and other community boating programs, is that these boats are safe enough that folks who have accidents or incidents like that will be able to be safe with the boat even if it is capsized.
Now, do you have sort of a minimum recommendation for a youngster who wants to get involved in boating?
Most definitely. It's important that folks know that sailing isn't just for the elite. Everybody can go sailing, and there are plenty of community boating programs in Boston, Providence, in Fall River, and New Bedford, where folks who don't own a boat or who have never been sailing before can jump right in and learn how to sail, take lessons, and it's adults or kids.
Now, is there a minimum age for a child or a maximum age that you recommend, or do you feel that boating is for everyone as long as safety is observed?
Boating is definitely a family sport. So I have friends who take their very young children out. For kids to start sailing lessons, the general age is age 7. But some of our local programs are familiarizing kids with getting out in boats even younger than that, 5 and 6.
How many boats do you build a year?
That varies, but typically there's around 30 or 40 boats built here every year.
And how long does it typically take to build a boat?
From start to finish, a Hairsoft 12.5, for instance, takes about 3.5 months. Some of our smaller boats take about a month and a half.
Does the size of the boat make a difference, or the amount of customization?
Both, and the complexity of how much woodwork goes into the building of the boat too. The 12.5, for instance, has a lot of woodwork that needs to get steam bent and installed, and that takes time.
We've all noticed that there's been a change in our economic forecasting in the U.S., and we've had some hard times, a lot of us. Have you found there's been a decline in the number of boats?
I wouldn't say there was a decline for us, but certainly there was a shift. People who might have bought a new boat have opted to purchase a used boat, or folks that were thinking about purchasing one of our more expensive boats bought something that was a little more affordable. Thankfully, we build enough designs that we were able to shift gears along with the economy.
Now, I understand that you do some racing. Where's your favorite place to race?
I've done a lot of racing up and down the East Coast, but my favorite place to race is right here in Buzzards Bay.
Do you get the opportunity to do a lot of boat shows around here? I know that there's different types of boat shows. Can you speak to any of that?
Certainly. Some of the boat shows that we do are more boat builder oriented, which means that all of the builders go and display their own boats. So people walking around the show are going to be able to speak direct to the builders of the boats. Other shows we go to are more dealer oriented, and in those cases we stand out because we're the boat builder.
Now, do you find most people who are purchasing your boats are purchasing them more for where they want to sail, or is a sort of this personality is good with this boat?
I think it's a little bit of both. Sometimes I'll get a customer coming to me saying, I'm thinking about a boat, and for me to learn, I've got to learn what their needs are, where they're going to be sailing in order to find the right fit for them.
Now, we had talked earlier in the interview about naming a boat. And do you personally have a boat or two?
I don't own a boat myself, but our family owns several, and I have been involved with naming a few of our family boats, yes.
Can you give us some of those names?
Sure. My brother owns a 30-foot racing boat that he named the Grinch. And we also have a 15-footer that the boat is black and white, but her name is red all over.
Oh, that's cute. I like that. I like that. You're right. It is definitely fits the personality of the family. What's it like working for your dad?
There are challenges, but there are also great rewards. Dad and I have worked together now for 18 years, so we kind of know how to push each other's buttons, but at the same time, when things go wrong, we're right on target for getting them to flip around and work out right.
Wendy, it's been a pleasure coming here. Thank you so much for inviting us. I really appreciate it. It's been very educational for me. As you know, I know very little about boats, and I'm definitely in awe of what you do. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having us.
Welcome to Reach Out Roaming. I'm Rick, and I'm here in Warren, Rhode Island, at In Your Ear Records. And with us today we have Albert. Now, Albert, what brought you here to working in the store?
I'm a musician, and music's been a part of my life for a long time, so working at a music store makes a lot of sense.
What do you see is the difference between the old music stores, as the way this is always, and also the new superstores, like the large ones?
We offer a specialized product that people are looking for. You know, you can, if you're lucky, find a bunch of scratched up records at a yard sale, but if you want to find a really good copy of the White Album, you would come to us.
I also am aware that you do a lot of charitable and other work with the younger kids here.
Yes, I do. I run a drum circle on Warwick about twice a month. I also do some volunteering in different youth programs where hand drumming is an integral part of that. So bass is my primary instrument, but hand drumming is something that I've found can connect a lot more people together.
So you would say that a lot of your real passion is more in the rhythm and the basic end.
Yeah, I'm a supportive player as opposed to like a lead guitar player who wants to look good.
There you go. It happens. It happens for sure. Okay, now what would you say would be the price ranges of, if someone wanted to, if they're watching this, how much would they pay for an album, give or take?
For standard 12-inch, 33 RPM record, it's $1 up to as much as you really want to spend. There were a couple classical albums that I watched close on eBay. Mind you, this isn't retail, this is eBay, for close to $60,000. That was about 2 weeks ago. So, you know, it's up to whoever is looking for something. It always depends on condition. You know, we have 4 of the same record, and they're going to be priced differently because one is like brand new and one is really beat up.
Right.
So.
Super. Now, what would your influences be?
I come from a jazz background, so you know, I'm into like a lot of Miles Davis, stuff from the 50s and 60s, into a lot of progressive rock too, like King Crimson. You know, just kind of all over the place. I like a little bit of everything.
So kind of would say it'd be like a very eclectic mix, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Super. Now, do you feel that your influences have affected your own personal writing and your own personal playing?
For sure. I mean, I probably would never have discovered the harmonic sense of like the chords I like to play and the notes I choose if it wasn't for my jazz background. And then my rhythmic sense, I think, comes from a lot from the progressive rock sound, so that where it's a lot of different polyrhythms and layering, you know, one type of meter on another, and you know, really kind of creating some different textures in that sense. So, you know, while the melodies in progressive rock aren't always extremely complicated, it's the layering of them that makes it almost, going back to the hand drumming thing, almost like a polyrhythmic drum circle.
Like the orchestration, pretty much.
Yeah, like you would find in like an African drumming circle. You know, you would find different parts stacked on top of each other to form a whole.
Super. Now, what do you think of the music scene now in 2011 as opposed to back earlier?